flexible with plans and being able to come on out here. Maybe we should have planned an outdoor service like this anyway. And we're thankful for nice weather this morning to enjoy this. Before Bryan comes and shares, want to testing. Is that better? Okay. Got a couple of announcements before Bryan Bailey comes up to share. In terms of our fall classes, I've got Lisa Cullinan sitting in the back as usual, and she's going to have this blue folder with some sign-ups. So if you know you're interested in one of the fall studies, Dallas Willard's Life Without Lack with John, The Great Divorce, C.S. Lewis's book with me, and then Genesis Part 3 with Gabby, who's also in the back. All three of us are here, so if you have questions, you can see us. But if you know you want to sign up, see Lisa Cullinan. Also, Friday, September 4th, 6:30. Lisa, this is at the church campus, correct? There's going to be a showing of the Sight and Sound Queen Esther. It's going to be streamed at the church, so if you know that that's something you're going to be interested in, Friday, September 4th at 6:30, we have a sign-up sheet for that as well. So you can see Lisa if you need to sign up for anything. In the marriage course this Sunday as well. So sorry, that's also. All right. A couple of other things. As a reminder, next week we will be meeting again at 10 o'clock as a single service over at the Activity Center. We think this is going to be a really important time for the church as we lay out some vision for what we think the Lord is doing right now and the calling that He's put on Community Fellowship Church. Sorry about that. And so we would encourage everybody to come out to that. Also, we have a series of prayer meetings coming up in September 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to have a series of prayer meetings for the church, and we also think that that time of prayer is going to be very vital for the life of our church in the days ahead as we buckle down and focus on some things together. So please make those meetings a priority as well. John, have I missed anything? All right. Yes, sir. Jim's saying without saying is we need to keep an eye on the Hicken boys and their cowboy boots. All right. Well, Bryan, do you mind if I pray for you, please? You've got home field advantage here, but maybe the prayer is still important. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for a beautiful day to meet together as your people. Thank you just for the way that you've prepared this thing. Thank you for Gary and the work that he's put into putting the tent up for last night, and it also worked out for this morning. So just thank you for how you brought this morning together for us. Thank you for Bryan. Thank you for the things that you've done in his life, the things that you've said on his heart. Pray now for him that you'll bless him now as he shares your word and your heart for us through him in Jesus' name.
So I'm hoping everybody got, is that too loud? Okay, great. All right. I'm hoping everybody got your handout there. Just, we printed off 30 of them, just kind of shot in the dark. Hoping everybody, one couple kind of gets one. It's a good eye chart, so if you're having trouble reading it, you should go see your eye doctor. So I'm just throwing that out there. Another thing to consider. I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation, and it had all cool colors and everything. But we're not doing that, so that's cool too. So it's on a piece of paper, so there we go. Let me ask you guys a question. Why do golfers wear two pairs of pants? In case they get a hole in one. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there you go. All right. That's not my message, though, I promise. Kind of wanted to address love in the vein of where are we today? The culture we're living in the day and age we live in, we can see how polarized our political and culture is. year ago, I never would have imagined that masks and social distancing was a thing. That really wasn't on my bingo card of what's going to go crazy next year, but here we are. In conversations with friends and family, fellow employees, neighbors, we run into a lot of people that have differing views. So abortion, right? I mean, these are the hot topics, and they're pretty big deals, right? So it's pretty easy to get that kind of, the small mouth, big eyes, like, kind of thing when you're having these conversations, especially with people that don't share the same view and they're as vehement as you are about these things. I don't think we need to discuss all the hot buttons that exist. I think you guys are more than familiar with all those kinds of things. My quest is, what do we do now? We've almost lost the art of being able to have loving conversations, and that's kind of my point, is love. If you've ever had these discussions with people, have you ever been able to argue them into seeing it from your way? Yeah, I mean, if you have, that's cool, you should write a book. But otherwise, the only people that I get to agree with me are the people that are like, if you shut up, Bryan, I will agree with you. Okay, all right, so I truly think the way to handle that is love. So what is love? How do we show love to those with opposing views? The term love is a solid, concrete thing. It's not this moving target, this emotional, in case you're curious, the notes I passed out, we're not there yet. So, in case you're trying to follow along or something, it's not this wandering, amorphous, moving target. It's a very concrete thing. We've done ourselves this disservice in our culture in saying love. I love your shoes. I love my new car. I love you, and it becomes an emotional attachment to somebody. That's not love. I'm sorry to say, it's really not. That's lust. Okay, that's joy. That's happy. It's not love. We've done ourselves a very disservice by calling that love. What is love? Another thing it's not is this mammy-pammy idea. Just follow your heart. Guys, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things, right? The heart is a liar. Your emotions will always fail you. Your emotions exist for a reason. They're a check, but you shouldn't operate in them, right? So this idea of just follow your heart, that's setting yourself up for failure. How about this one? Just do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. That's not love. That's just lazy. I don't want to confront you. I don't want to have to confront this issue. I just want to let you do what you want to do. That's not love either. Love is a choice. Love is actually defined by God, right? His character is love, right? 1 John 4:8. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. So we can say love is defined by the character of God there. So love obviously is not just do whatever you want, it makes you happy. That's not love. 2 John 1:6, and I'm going to the New King James here, so I thought it kind of made a pretty good explanation of this. This is love, that we walk according to his commandments. This is the command, that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. Because obeying God's law means to live in righteousness and respect towards ourselves, that's a pretty important one, actually. Right? Towards ourselves, others, and the Lord. Sin is not love, as sin always hurts someone. It's plainly stated in Romans 13:8. Owe no one anything except to love one another, because he who loves another has fulfilled the law. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet, and whatever other commandments there may be are summed up in this statement: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. I like it because it basically takes all this and boils it down to this one thing. So love your neighbor as yourself. Sin ultimately creates a breach in relationships and separates us from ourselves, others, and God. But when we keep God's law, we conform to Jesus and manifest his character and his love, and thus repair the breach created by sin. So you follow on where I'm going with that? Maybe? I hope so. I hope that's clear. I got a couple more verses here. Right? Furthermore, Jesus explains that by this principle, Christians are known for being his disciples and followers. In John 13, 34, 35, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. It doesn't say, right, just other believers, but it says one another. And to me, that's all people, right? People that have differing views than us as well. Okay, all right. So this is my favorite part. What is love? Like the real practical, like let's put the tires on and get some traction. And what is love, right? So if you got your Bible, go to 1 Corinthians 13, starting verse 4. I'm sure you knew where this was going. That's kind of the top verse for this here. Now, as you turn in there, something I find fun to do, fun like this, is to put your name where love is. So 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 is love is. It's a definition of love. It's a step-by-step love. Love is this. Put your name where that is. I like to do that. It's not a condemnation thing. It's not, oh, I'm such a failure. It's a check. It's a check, right? So let me read 1 Corinthians 13, 4, starting verse 4. Love suffers, I'm going New King James here too. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. Love is not puffed up. Does not behave rudely. Does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Bears all things. Believes all things. Hopes all things. Endures all things. Love never fails. So if you take love out of the first one there, Bryan suffers long and is kind. It depends who you ask. Maybe. Bryan does not envy. Love does not parade itself. Okay, this is kind of tough, right? Because if we are emulators of Christ, if our objective, our primary objective is to love one another, and God is the definition of love, these things here, this list is basically kind of a, broad strokes, the painting that is God's character. So if that's what we're after, we should be able to emulate this. Now, you're never going to get it because we're human, right? But we should be attaining to know him. And in knowing him, he's our hero. You always want to look like your hero, like you Superman, you wear a cape, right? I mean, sometimes I wear a cape in public. People get a little weird, but it's okay. But Jesus is my hero, really. I want to be like him. Am I like him? No. That's okay. Failure here, it's an encouragement to move forward. It's not a punch in the face. You're a failure. Hey, it's okay. You can keep moving forward. This means that there's places to go, right? There's more of the mountain to climb. Okay, you guys ready for the eye test? That piece of paper I passed out to you is kind of a compilation of what I found for the Greek, which I'm not going to do it a disservice and try to pronounce all that for you guys. But it's just there as a reference for you in case you want to check it out. What I did was I basically took what the Greek was going for, tried to translate it, and then give it the Bryan translation as logical as I could get it. That's what that is. So if you're having a hard time reading it, I wasn't going to read this to you, right? I was just going to have it kind of projected, and everybody can kind of read it as we go, but I'll quickly try to blow through this and hit some highlights. Love suffers long, to be patient, not lose heart, to persevere patiently and bravely, to be slow to anger, to be patient with others. In being patient with others, I also view that as not to interrupt others. I have propensity, and a good friend, fellow worker of mine, we both will just cut people off. I think I know where you're going with your sentence, and I'm just going to cut you off there, and I'm going to attack. I'm going to go to the next point we're trying to make because we just want to hurry through this. That's not loving, is it? It's not showing you respect. It's not showing you the dignity and respect. You're Imago Dei. You're created in the image of God. I should have respect for you. So I should let you finish your sentence. It's just as simple as that. I should shut my mouth and let you talk. How creative. And going a little step further than that, I should also try to comprehend and listen to what you're saying, right? I'm sorry, our chickens are pretty loud this morning. It's pretty obnoxious at times, really. Okay, and is kind, to show oneself mild, to be attentive, considerate, to use kindness. I kind of see that more or less as the same thing. Really, it's how I'm going to treat you. Remember, we're supposed to love each other, right? As you everybody is your neighbor. So this is how you should consider it. How do you want to be treated? You want to be treated kindly, of course you do. So we should consider that as we talk to others. Love does not envy, not to be heated or to boil with envy and hatred, foregoing painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another, joined with a desire to possess the same advantage. I don't know why I wrote that so long, but it made sense to me at the time that it was a thing. But basically, I think you guys get what that is. Right? To want something else. I love the Dodge Viper, the first generation Dodge Viper cars. I think those things are hot. They've always been beautiful. And when I was like 15 years old, those things came out. I was like, that car is awesome, right? And it still is today. I went to college with a guy. His uncle had one, and he drove it to school one day. And I was like, can I just like lick the door handle or something? I mean, this thing is awesome, right? But the objective is to be grateful that he has it, and not burn with desire to have it. Okay, love does not parade itself, not to boast, not to brag, to show off, to give off airs, is not puffed up, to be lofty, to be proud or arrogant. That's kind of a tough one sometimes. Right? I struggle with that sometimes. And I think my struggle with that stems out of this never-ending battle of I'm never good enough, no one really likes me, and then I kind of switch over to, but I know better than that guy, right? And I never find center on this. It's always I have to make this choice of love. Not only do I have to love others, but I truly have to love myself. Now, the term love yourself, I'm a little hesitant to say because of the way our culture interprets that, but I think the way using these words, loving yourself, is showing yourself respect and dignity, not being puffed up, and not putting yourself on airs, but also not berating yourself. I think love is the choice, and we have to make that choice to find center. Because remember, your emotions are just going to throw you all up in there. All right, does not behave rudely, not unbecoming, to behave inappropriately. Yeah, you guys get that. Does not seek its own. Not to seek after, not to seek for, not to aim at, not to strive after himself, herself, itself, themselves. I just kind of went through and tried to get a translation of the Greek there. Not to seek what is convenient and profitable for us, not to be selfish and self-centered, not to think just of ourselves, not to demand our own way. Right? And remember, we can do this thing, right? Play this game. Bryan is not seeking himself. Right? I can keep playing this all the way through. Is not provoked, not easily irritated. Okay, that's sometimes hard. Okay. Aroused to anger, not be touchy, quick-tempered, irritable. Look, guys, I can be irritable. You can ask my lovely wife; she'll tell you that sometimes Bryan is a little cranky. You know what? And it's not a self-condemnation. It's a self-check. If I want to be in the character of God, this is where I go, and this is okay. Lord, help me to be patient with my children, with my wife, with my friends, with my neighbors. Does not rejoice in iniquity. A deed violating law of God and justice. So to not rejoice in that, or to act of unrighteousness, not to be glad with sin, not to rejoice at wrongdoing or injustice. I mean, you guys know this, right? You see somebody you're like, they're walking the wrong path. They get what happens in their choices, the natural consequences. And somewhere deep inside, you're like, that's not the character of God, is it? Sometimes you're like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad to see they got the natural consequence. But the reality is, that's not the character of God. You all right, Todd? You getting closer to throw something, or are you good, man? Okay. All right, but rejoices in the truth. To rejoice with, to be glad with, aletheia, which is truth referred to as biblical truth, the true knowledge of God and the principles of his kingdom. To be glad, to side with truth, to rejoice whenever truth is displayed. Bears all things. This is an interesting one. Skip ahead here. If you love someone referred to a brother or sister in Christ, you will be loyal and faithful to him or her. You will cover them, I meant to say cover them in prayer, and stand your ground in defending and protecting them in righteousness. Believe believes all things. I think this one gets kind of confused, and I spend a lot of time trying to think through this. What is this? I'm trying not to read this to you because this gets long and all that kind of stuff, but everything to believe the best in all fellow believers who are sincere and mature and have confidence in them. This does not refer to unbelievers who don't mind sin and don't care about changing. In dealing with unbelievers, a mature Christian needs to always discern and determine if their behavior is sincere or not, and therefore does not automatically place confidence in them. The reason I had a hard time with this, that I thought we really need to kind of think through this one, is you get this idea, well, just believes all things. So I just got to believe people all the time, 100%. No. No, not actually. We can listen to their words. We can show them respect and kindness and the spirit of love here. But we need to kind of temper that with discernment. What are they saying, right? Especially if they're known to not always be telling the truth. Should we slap them upside the head and call them a liar? Well, no, not necessarily, right? But we should discern what's going on and act accordingly to that. I guess I did some reading and over the years I've talked with people. What does this mean? Believe all things. It is concerning. You take it at face value. You say, well, believes all things. Okay, so I'm just supposed to just blindly, dumbly, just believe everything everybody tells me. Well, no, not entirely. Hopes all things. All things, everything, hopeful, and to trust in fellow believers who are known to be sincere in their love for God. Endures all things, persevere, to hold fast, to endure, to not to fall or to perish, to persevere in every situation, even under misfortunes and trials, and hold fast to one's faith in Christ. Love never fails, never falls powerless, is never ineffective. You know, when you look through this and you say, this is a painting of the character of God, right? And you know, when God says, I love my son and I'm going to send him to the cross to die for you, it's not just you as the people, but it's you, and it's me too. It's self. He hung on the cross for us, for our iniquities, for our inability, to measure up to this. That is love. That is love. And I think the more we understand our depravity, the more we realize that Bryan is, how false is this statement? Bryan is kind. When we realize how untrue that is, we start to realize how much hangs on the cross. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So, next time you're talking with somebody, especially somebody who doesn't share the same viewpoint as you, I'm trying to be listening and kind and not get the big eyes, small mouth. You know, killing babies is wrong. How dare you ever think, you know, that never goes anywhere. But if I can have that conversation lovingly and listen to them and be patient, compassionate, and understanding, completely disagree with them, what are they going to walk away from that with? I'm not going to be able to argue them into saying, oh, of course killing babies is wrong. But I can display a love to them that they may never have seen. You know, somebody that disagrees with them but still says, I still love you. You are a human being created in the image of God, and you are valuable. I still love you. Have you guys ever taken Diet Coke and mixed it with Mentos? Okay. There's some people kind of going, huh? Okay. Look, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's explosively awesome. What you do on your way home from here, stop, get a 2-liter of Diet Coke, get a pack of Mentos, go home, put your bathing suit on, get in your backyard, and put as many Mentos as you can in the 2-liter and just let it ride. It's just, the expansion rate is phenomenal. I say Diet Coke because it doesn't have sugar in it, so you don't get yourself sticky. Right? You know what I'm talking about. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. So, if you haven't, it's a great day, okay? No, I don't have Mentos. No. You take the cap off, you take the Mentos, and you drop in as many as you can, and it just starts. It's a fountain. It's a beautiful fuzzy fountain, is basically what it is. But you're going to get covered. My emotions get a lot like the Diet Coke and the Mentos. I kind of start. My emotions will well up, right? And I kind of just suppress them. Let's just keep this under control, and then I explode over everybody. And that's not love, right? That's not love. I think being in control of our emotions, recognizing what they're there for, and being like, I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna set them on the table. I want to examine why I'm behaving this way. And then instead of exploding like the Coke all over everybody, we can work through conversations. We can work through life. And I think the character of God is very patient, of course, and He is defined by this love. So we're called to love. That's one of our primary objectives, is to emulate God and to love. So this stuff is nothing new, right? This is not new. You've heard this kind of thing before, but I encourage you, and this is an encouragement for myself too, to love those around us as our neighbors, to love them as Christ loves us. So that's the end of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pray.